Welcome, everyone, to Creating in Fortnite. I am your host, Dan Hutnick, and today I have a few folks with me who have come to talk to us about the recently released as experimental template abilities. We got a lot to cover today, so let's go ahead and get them introduced, starting with Andrew. How you doing?
Hello, I'm Andrew Ruffini, a senior gameplay product designer at Epic Games. I've been at Epic for 9 years. Started in QA on Save the World and eventually moved into creative as a designer, where I've been working on devices and more recently gameplay features for UEFN. So I'm going to talk about ability templates.
We got it. We
Uh,
also got to know who's the assistant there that you have.
This is Harley. She decided about a minute ago that this is where she needed to be, so this is where she is for now. Um, yeah.
As someone who has a supervisor that's sitting on the couch over there, I totally relate to that. And last but certainly not least, Todd.
Hello, everyone. My name's Todd Eckert. I'm a principal gameplay engineer at Epic. I've actually been at Epic 11 years. Uh, I've been in the industry for over 20 now. Yeah, I started at Save the World Battle Royale as soon as that released and worked my way through everything. And now I'm on UE6, UEFN side making gameplay framework stuff. So we're here to talk about ability templates.
Which, speaking of, let folks know what are ability templates, template abilities. What are we going to be talking about here today?
Yeah, so ability templates, they're like a simpler timeline way to make gameplay abilities in UEFN, right? So as a developer, you can define what activates the ability, who it targets, and determine what happens over time. That means like animations, effects, sounds, and even projectiles. Because we know what the ability is going to be ahead of time, it can run predictively, making it feel a lot more responsive when you are firing it off during gameplay than running it through just straight first code at the moment.
Yeah, I think I just want to add like it's there's some caveats to it as to where the predictability is, and that's going to be for items using a very specific component for now. But we plan on beefing this up over the future, and then as things mature, we're going to get UE6, we're going to get features that will let us be able to do more predictive features at the verse level. So it's very powerful. It's just more a stepping stone for UEFN to kind of give developers things that they can work in with Fortnite type stuff more like discreetly and modularly, and then we'll expand it from there.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I know we have a lot to cover here, and I know you folks brought about a little bit of a demo. Is there anything else we wanted to cover before we jump into that, or are we good to hop in?
I I I think we're just good enough to hop in. I figured we can kind of just me and Ruffini put these like items and stuff together just to kind of showcase me as an engineer, him as a designer. So uh, we're not going to have all the polish that you'd expect in a Fortnite experience, but it'll help show like A, I can build it in prefabs, B, I can do a lot of things in code, in verse code, and actually some of this requires a bit of verse code to kind of start off, and that's why we have docs and everything to release to the community, so you're not just going into it blind. So
Yeah,
so like
perfect. Real quick, before we jump in, just going to
yeah.
cover a little bit of housekeeping thing. If you have any questions for either of these folks about template abilities, please leave them in the chat. Put in brackets question followed by your question, and we will gather those throughout the show and pose as many of them as we can to the folks at the end of the show. This is about template abilities, so those are the questions that we'll be answering today. If you have any other things, general UEFN ecosystem, any sort of thing like that, please head over to the EDC where we have our documentation, as was just mentioned, tutorials, forums, and so much more. But with that, now we can jump into the actual fun stuff. So I'll pull up your screen share now.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so I think it's just we got me and Ruffini in here. We're just gonna kind of play around in our little sandbox with some NPCs to kind of showcase some of the things that are like very basic, and then these are things Ruffini put together, which I'll let him talk to, which is really cool. Like I just took like the weapon templates that were released like 2 chapters ago, I guess, and I was like, I just want to make it so whenever I shoot someone, it just puts icy feet on them. Doesn't really have to do much damage or anything, but it'll just give them all icy feet. Or I can make like a little pistol using the pistol template, and now I can give them, give them the spicy pepper thing. It doesn't really do much. And then I can also have a silly, like, if I right click right now, it'll just kind of obliterate everyone. And then the pistol will delete itself after some amount of time. And so it was just something to put together, and I'll be able to show you in a minute uh, how I set those up. Some of it was all prefab, some of it was in code, as I was mentioning. And then I don't know, Ruffini, I'm happy to demo any of your cool items. Just maybe you'll have to talk me through them while I demo them.
Sure. I wasn't sure. Do you want to just jump through and kind of explain how you put those together first?
Oh, sure. That's how we want to do it. Not the end of the world, not a bad idea. So yeah, if we jump back to editor. So as I tend to do in every one of these like sandboxes I make, this is going to be hard to see. Let me just expand, minimize this, expand this. So I have these like little item spawners that I've created that just has a component that can take anyone that we made a prefab. You right click. How much of it do I want to really go over? Just like do it on the fly, but it's like,
No,
right click. You
Oh, sure.
make a
I was
prefab.
just gonna say, just want to show how we built you built
Yeah,
the ones
yeah,
that
no.
we're presenting. You can go through the whole thing if you want.
No, I just want to like for those that are coming into this new, it's good to see like, hey, there's these weapon templates, and that'll let you work with this. And then, oh, we have this Fort item ability component, which is kind of the window into your prefab world of setting up abilities, whether you want them as soon as you pick up the item or as soon as you equip the item, these abilities will be given to you to actually be able to execute. And from here, you can just click this little plus. You can have a bunch of options as to what type of abilities that you've programmed up, and then it'll give you a bunch of options like, oh, on primary fire, I'm going to do this target query, which will actually follow my reticle to see what I'm targeting. And then once I have a target, it's going to do the slap point, which is just a time element. And in there, it's like, oh, it'll last 10 seconds, and it'll actually apply it to the target in 0.1 second along the timeline. And then similarly, the pepper one, I also do it at 0.1 second. It applies a 10-second. So now they get slap juice and pepper, the spicy pepper effect for 10 seconds just by shooting them with the pistol.
So I guess walking through that real quick. Right, we have two different ability types that you can put on an ability component, right? We have an equipped ability or an item ability. An equipped ability requires the item to be in your equipped slot to use. A regular item ability can just be in your inventory to use. And then when you drill in there, as far as targeting queries and stuff go, all right, well, so input trigger, right? This is the key part to it being predictive. You need to set one of the input actions that we've supplied to, once they load, to actually have your ability fire. In this case, right, he's got to set the weapon primary, which is, basically shoot. So when he left clicks, it fires off. But yeah, you could have it fire on crouch or jump or sprint, a whole bunch of things. The target query, right? We have three different ones. He's using reticle there, which means that whoever you're aiming at, that's going to be your target for the ability. Which is why, like, when he shot me or the NPCs, we were the ones getting icy feet or the pepper. The wedge is an up to 360-degree arc around your player. And that's based on the player facing. So that's a really good one to use on any NPCs because they don't have a camera. If you want them to have any abilities, you can also choose whether or not you want to apply to hostiles or friendlies or anybody. We're actually looking at modifying this a little bit to give you more granular control. So, stay tuned. And then, yeah, as far as elements go, yeah, like Todd said, in this case, he for the effects, we've got a bunch of Fortnite ability effects that, traditionally it'd come with items. So, slap would be like slap juice or the pepper, that you can now just apply to a player through the ability, which kind of gives you the ability to, if you want to, theoretically even make your own item that you can apply at any point. But we've got a few different. She's shedding. A few
It's all right.
different Fortnite different abilities, and we're investigating more for future releases as well. So also stay tuned for that. There are other things that you can do. You can play sounds. You can fire projectiles. You can deal damage, and you can play animations on the player, which you'll see all of with some of the other abilities that we had made. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
and piggyback off that a little bit, it's like the feedback we get, ask, like what the community really wants. We've already got great lists internally, but we always are looking for the feedback to be like, we really wish we had XYZ. We really wish we had that. Because the idea is we want this to grow, to give more functionality as we're still working our way to, UV6 actual like much more scriptability and feature set at that level. So, but again, we want you guys to make the games you want to make. So yeah.
yeah, doubling down on that. This is an experimental right now, which is the perfect time to be giving us feedback because this is when your feedback can have the most impact on the development of the feature.
Yeah.
Once we leave experimental, things get much more difficult to implement changes on, and theoretically a lot more stable. So good news there, but definitely a lot harder if we need to make any big pivots because we're like, oh man, we didn't think about this use case, and now it's going to be really hard for us to implement it in a way that is safe.
Cool. What's the plan? Rolling right into your stuff now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we want to go through it like one at a time.
Yeah. S- So, so Mr. Ruffini over here has set up like kind of like a nice little bulletin board to kind of explain it. He made this grenade, which you can he uses the reticle. It fires a grenade, but it actually is a sticky grenade that after 10 seconds will blow up. But if you can actually pick it up and consume and have the item back, so you can actually play this game of like hot potato in a
Hmm.
way, or but it actually just also eliminates like the things you can do now with projectiles and functionality in the games you want to make, where you can actually have entities like we'll go over how this was set up, but it actually is spawning a scene graph entity. And so you can actually throw scene graph entities around and then have them bid in the world, and you can make interesting gameplay after that off that, and you can actually probably go way further than we did with like, oh, maybe you can have NPCs get signals that happened and then patrol over to it and stuff like that. Like it just unlocks a world of possibilities, and all it took was a bit of it now gives you it wasn't that much to unlock it in terms of being able to set it up. So
Yeah, the verse code on that was fairly minimal. Sorry, my dog decided that you guys didn't need to hear me anymore.
right.
Making a
And
big
so I
deal.
think I think this one's better to show with two players, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can do that.
right. So he made this orb shooter. So the idea behind this one is it just shoots orbs wherever you're looking. They're pretty fast and they hurt like they do. They think do like 10 damage at a time.
And
But like right clicking actually spawns these much slower ones that they're like, oh, what's that? What's that do? But in a game of PvP, if you aim it and actually hit it, it'll explode and do a big AoE explosion. So you can actually play a game where like, and it just, you in only a few hours you could put together some really interesting and silly gameplay. And so I killed myself. So I'm sorry.
you
Oh.
eliminated yourself.
I eliminated myself. Sorry. And yeah, and then what do we have? A teleport one, which is oh, I threw that way too far. And then he actually did some cool where it's like if you actually throw it on an enemy, not only does it teleport you, but it kills them as well. So
Hmm.
I'm sorry, eliminates them as well. And then yeah, what do we have? Your icy flips and
I cast.
so like Yeah, then Skycast is certainly
So
the fun one.
icy flips was just one. I mean, really, it's just to show that you can play animations on the player. Um, so really, all it is it plays a backflip animation, fires off a particle effect, and applies the icy feet to anybody that's near you. So like if Todd stands in the center of those chickens, all 4 of them will get icy feet applied to them.
Yeah, and the other cool thing is that it also illustrates you don't need to have it equipped. This is just using the item abilities array. So I can use it anytime I want, even if I'm not actually selecting it. So I can have my sky orb ability while I'm also doing like icy feet flips.
Yeah, and that last one, the Skycast one, that one's actually if you were really paying attention, you'll see it's the same explosion from the grenade and from the exploding orb. But it's so that one ended up using 2 different animations. It has like a wind up one from it starting, and then I have another animation point for it pulling down. And what I'm doing is spawning a particle or a projectile just offset way ahead and up from the player so that it'll just drop down from the sky. So we can kind of look at how we tuned or made all of those really.
Uh, yeah, I figured it wouldn't be the worst idea to actually just take a quick peek of just at least how did these look under the hood. I don't know if we need to go through all of them. Some like the sky orb one is certainly one of the more interesting ones because, like you said, it has two animations. But how just like the throwable grenade one is just when you have it equipped, primary fire. It's like I'm gonna target myself is what it's actually doing, which is interesting. And then
It just wasn't needed.
it's yeah, because that's the thing about the projectile. It kind of inherently uses your aiming, so it doesn't actually need a target query when if you're all you're going to do is spawn a projectile. And he created this prefab, which didn't pop up because it's probably behind us. There it is. And the main piece of this prefab that is probably the most important for the system is providing it a projectile component, which will let you set like a gravity, a range, a speed, and then he gave it, this cool mesh and particle effects. Is if I go back to
And
the sticky grenade. Sorry.
yeah, I think the relevant so some of the core parts of that are in code. In that once it lands, it'll actually spawn a prefab that is the sticky grenade. That will let you kind of pick it up and re-add it to your inventory. So it's the bottom two, 218 and 254. Don't judge me. I put everything in the same file because I thought it'd be easier than opening a bunch of files for the stream.
That's
Um,
fine. But yeah, so it's worth at least just showing that like he created like Ruffini created this projectile base, which is actually a projectile component, which governs the speed and gravity. And there's some callbacks. If you haven't taken a look, there's the handle. There's this on impact event, which gives you back an impact result, which has like the entity you impacted with. It should give you back a location and everything as well. So location, the normal, if you need that for math, for anything math related, you want to be like, oh, I hit back here at this angle. So so he set this up in a base component so he can kind of reuse a lot of the functionality he plans on using in all these things. And so he created the sticky grenade, which he has a on handle impact, which will find the location. It'll create the grenade entity. It will add it to the simulation. It will set it to this location in the world. It will then, I'm not 100%, you can go through more of the cooking and all those mechanics, but I'm guessing that's the 10 seconds before it explodes.
yeah, it is exactly that. Yeah. So it just I have a component called cook component, and that's that guy. And it just runs on a really, really, really basic loop to just decide whether or not it should explode.
Right. And
But
so
you
is,
could, imagine you could technically make any sort of pickup this way with the
okay,
projectile.
so I was just wondering where the cook component was.
Oh, yeah, it's on the it's actually on the prefab.
Okay. Oh, it's on this one that you spawned, which was not the same one, I guess. Okay.
It's the one. It's the one you pick up. Actually, I just have it on the same. I just don't turn it on until
I got
or
you.
I don't activate the cook until it's
And
the hit event does.
right, and so it's just general verse code that we've, I don't know, some amount of us out in the community have all written now at this point, and so it's just using the power of the components with the simulation of begin, simulate using, you know, the suspends functions to handle just, oh, I'm going to cook it after that amount of seconds, I'm going to explode, and anyone in the area blow up. So, um, so if I was then going to show, which I think is also one of the interesting ones, is this one down here. We can go through them all if we want, but a lot of them are very similar. But I really like how this one is multiple animations that are just working together via the timeline. Did not open. There it goes. Right. So another one of these equipped abilities that again doesn't really need a tag target query because it's actually going to just play and it's going to spawn a projectile. And so the first thing he's doing it 1 second in, he's going to spawn this skycast projectile. But then you got the more interesting one at like, oh, at time 0, he's running this animation span, which is actually going to do an intro animation, and he's going to let that run for 1 second, and then he's got the cast, so he has like that warm up, and then it's like the hand drop animation, and he's like at 0.8 seconds in, so it actually blends with the intro, and then after 2.3 seconds it ends. And just from that series of 3 elements, he was able to put together a really fun like example of animating a player to do a projectile cast. So,
Yeah, I definitely in just making that, I was like, I have a whole slew of features that I'm ready to request from you.
well, that's, I don't know which one of those it is, mini orb or mega
Yeah,
orb.
mega orb, mini orb. That's the mini orbs are the fast ones that shoot, and the
No,
mega orb is the big one that explodes.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and teleport's pretty basic, like almost embarrassingly so, right?
But
It just
but but that's part of the simplicity of it, right? It's
yeah,
like this is where it hit. This is where I'm gonna teleport the player, or and so you just use the teleport to function we have already built in to characters. So I don't know. Doesn't seem embarrassing to me. It seems
it's true. It's the system in action.
right. But yeah. Um. So I mean, we could go over all this verse code. Otherwise, it's, I don't know where you want to take this, Ruffini. If there's anything else you want to like talk about, elaborate on.
I mean that's the abilities kind of in a nutshell. I think we showed off a lot of really cool stuff they can do. Something that we didn't really show so well is you don't have to use the input action to fire it. For instance, well, there's a bug right now, but if you want to call just use because this inherits from the base ability system, you can still build these ability templates and have them fire uh, without using the input trigger. So if you wanted an NPC to be able to fire this, for instance, you could. You can build your entire ability through either code or on the prefab, and then just reach in, grab the ability, and pass the NPC in as the instigator, and it'll totally fire. So
Yeah, that's a good point. We did not put together a bot. I have like a bot doing like icy feet to itself in a test project, but we should have done that in this example because it's very useful to show that like an NPC can trigger these abilities calling what is the use function. So
how much do you want to try and YOLO that?
we could. You want to get? Well, should we
You've
give it a
got the
shot?
abilities, right? If you want to just use your like icy ability template.
Yeah, I also wanted to at least show like not all of it was done in the prefab. Like
Mm.
I actually set these up purely in code, these templates, just and then I just picked them in the prefab. So I was able to actually just in code, just set up a target query to where I wanted, set up the input trigger to what I wanted, and set up the actual array of elements with their timelines. And depending on who you are, what you prefer, this is equally as powerful. There's the main little caveat is projectiles right now don't really work through this pathway very easily, or at all, I guess, is which we hope to improve and fix. But yeah, do you fully remember off the top of your head how to set up a bot? Because we can I'm all about doing it. We have the bots, we just need the behaviors.
I mean, if we just want to use a
Where
basic
did
behavior,
where did
we
they
could
go?
just.
That's a bug. I don't know what happened to them.
They're like, you're not going to assign me nothing. I'm out of here.
They're like, where is this?
I mean, they're
This
right
is who we
there.
are now. I'm not sure. Maybe just have to end the game. I'm sure they're still in the outliner, if nothing else. It might just not be visible.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that.
Okay.
So we could just make a quick behavior script. And see
Yep.
if we can't. Well, that's just really boring content. I don't know. I don't want to
I don't know
bore
if it is.
people.
Yeah, I don't want to bore people either. Plus, there's quite a bit to set up, so it's like, but
Could be interesting to just show the whole process, though, for folks who are new to this,
well,
or a portion of the process.
Todd, if you want to make a behavior, you can just do it from
yeah,
first or from
you could,
UEFN.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, if you know more readily off the top of your head how to do it, I think what you got to
Oh
do
yeah,
versus
just
learn.
right click,
Oh, just in the
create verse file, and then you can just use the template. Oh no, you had it right the first time.
oh right.
We got a couple folks in chat saying, never boring. Show us.
You got it.
Yeah, probably just the basic. That way it's not running around doing whatever. We can just call it that.
Right.
There we
Hello
go.
world. Let me just assign it so that way I don't forget, and all of a sudden we get so far. Sorry, doing this all on one.
You know, while you're doing that, I mean, I can look at some questions here. I'll start from the. Dan, do you normally ask the questions, or I don't?
Yeah, and
Or
I
can I just
was
read
trying not
from
to distract you too much, but I can throw some questions at you folks if you'd like.
Yeah, it probably helps us since some of this takes a bit of setup to kind of get going.
Sure. Yeah. No worries. We'll start with one that we actually just got here, which is, can abilities slow the player down?
Not yet. Not yet. That is it's been a top request internally and actually in Discord when we release this. So they will. We're gonna target that for sure.
Another question here is, they asked if they could use these tools to kind of rebuild similar abilities to those in the Star Wars, like force powers and things like that.
I feel like a lot of these questions are going to turn into a not yet, but
Yeah, not
these
yet.
are things that
so frankly, I don't know what the Star what's in that pack. Like what
Mm.
I know that they exist.
If I recall, there's like a force push, there's a force pull, and there might be other
okay.
things as well, but those
There's
two
like
alone.
a lightning and things like that too.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, we do want to be able to rebuild all those for sure. Push pull, right? We definitely when it comes to requests, it's been speed. It's been I want to be able to apply knockback. And it's been why can't I just write my own point? So those are definitely all things that we're looking at. Lightning would be a channel, right? We're also kind of looking at potentially.
So the VFX part might be a challenge today, but like lightning, at least damage wise, could be one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm gonna hit you and then run an ability on them and then hit them and hit, like chain lightning. Or did you?
I think it's more because I think in Star Wars land lightning is more like and you're just channeling that.
More things that are coming down the pipe though, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that our It would be considered, I would consider this a successful feature if we could do that, right? It would be good to be able to, like, if our bar was you can recreate all the Star Wars abilities, then I would consider this very much a successful feature. So we definitely should be, that should be our goal at minimum.
Yep.
Yeah. This next question might be pretty simple because if I'm not mistaken, it's what we're doing right now. The question was, is it possible to grant / link abilities to NPCs to create more diversity in enemies / bosses?
Yeah. So I I want to set it up so we actually yeah, so I want to just create a method. So like usability maybe.
Yeah, I think in your test you just had it on a sleep. You're just like after 10 seconds fire, and then you had it on loop. Actually, it was like every 10 seconds fire the ability again. Um, just so you know if it's working or not. But yeah, I guess to answer that question, yeah, we'll see in like 5 minutes, hopefully.
Beautiful. Another couple questions we have here. Will we be able to set the ability on any key we want, or will we still be forced to use the action key?
Yeah, it's going to be an action key. We are working on getting more input actions, exposed. There's just a myriad of things that have to happen before they can be, but we're working through that. So, in the future they'll be more available to use than what we have.
Yeah.
But to answer the question, yes, you have to use an input action.
Yeah. Will there be a ragdoll enemy effect in the ability? It could be peak for fighting games.
I don't know if that would be an ability or not. It would be cool. You're not wrong. I don't know if we ever had ragdoll. I guess it could be cool to be part of an ability, but I think it would be its own. It's a whole system. So I think like that question feels like a trap. First of all, because we need ragdoll first. Before we can get to that.
It was one of them gotcha questions.
Yeah. But I love ragdoll personally. So.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna simplify my life. Sorry.
The question we had here says, so it feels like the system is using a damage hit type feature. Yes or no? And then they did follow up with that answers my question, so this might have already been covered, but thought it might be worth asking anyways.
It does, yeah. I mean, it does apply damage. It does not apply like damage the way that a gun would. So right now there's no hit react or even number that appears when you do the damage.
Mm.
And maybe that's something we can look into adding. But yeah, right now it just applies damage kind of under the hood and it happens.
Well, that actually links to another question here that I don't know if we have the answer for this, but they asked, is it possible to make the damage visible through like pop-ups over their head or something like that when you hit them with a weapon?
We should explore that.
Yeah. Something I've actually requested internally, like while building this feature. I mean, we have timelines and we're trying to like get things released. So it's on the docket because it's very much necessary to be able to say like, can I do some sort of VFX, some sort of ability that does animation that can like treat as a hit react? Because you're gonna want that to make a game that is the game you want to represent. So.
Another question we had here is, are there current ways to modify the origin of a projectile? Currently it spawns at 000 on the player. However, for animations would be better to come from the hand.
Yeah. I don't want to interrupt what Todd's doing right now to show you, but
You could also revisit this one later too, if you'd
yeah,
like.
well, I mean, so I don't know whatever. So when we showed off the ability, the Skycast one, where the orb was coming from the sky and coming down, that's exactly what we were doing. I had set the offset. So on the projectile point, there's a transform option. And on that, you can set the translation. So what I had done there was, I don't remember the exact numbers I used. It was like 800 up, maybe 400 forward. So it was spawning the projectile 400 in front of me and 800 up in the sky, and then it looked like I was pretty proud of this one for like how basic it was. It looked like he's pulling it down, but really it was just a projectile that had a forward speed of 0 and a gravity of like 2000, that spawned at that offset and went straight down. So that's all that was. So I guess yes, there are ways to do it. As far as the bone part of it goes, yeah, I guess that'd be cool. We're doing that for the particles, so I don't know, maybe something we can look into for the projectile as well.
Awesome. Another question was, are there ways to show visual cooldowns? It says on the item, but I'm assuming they mean for the abilities. Some base FN items have radial meters in the hotbar UI to showcase things like cooldowns and other things like that.
We are looking into that. Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, I
Another
feel
one.
that I think that is like partly tied to some degree to itemization team as well, like because they're doing a lot of things and how we're going to represent cooldowns with when things have item components, so they're in that quick bar. So there's like multiple teams that have to come together to get that one across the line.
Yeah. Not exactly sure what this one is referring to, but maybe you folks will know better than I. They have the question of why is that FLU and not LUF?
So I know what they're referring to. I'm not sure where they're referring to it, right? So well, if I'm understanding correctly, they're asking why is it forward left up and not left up forward?
Mm.
I just don't know the context of why that got asked. I'm
If
sure
you're
it's
still in
really
chat,
obvious,
yeah, if you're still in chat, go ahead and clarify that, and we'll revisit this one.
but if it was in my verse code, it's just because I wrote the verse code.
Okay, yeah. So we had the same question here. Move on to the next one. The question is, will this showcase project be released in the Epic developer community sometime? Is this something that we're gonna provide for folks?
I mean, I guess if we're allowed to, we could put the stuff on the forum or something. I mean, even if it's not even in an Epic official capacity, there's not a whole lot of code happening. But I know that the examples would be handy.
Yeah, especially if it's the code. The code is certainly in no way truly like proprietary, like anything. But I know those animations and things. We would
Oh,
probably
right,
have
yeah,
to
the
talk to certain
animation's
teams and
absolutely not.
stuff, and those VFX. Like,
Right, that's a
I
good
want to
point.
say yes, but I feel like it's a maybe.
We'll look into it.
I went digging through Fortnite code for animations. I was like, oh, this one will work. Sure. I don't know what this was. So,
See if this
yeah.
complies.
Yeah. Oh.
Um,
Could you,
yeah, so we did get a follow up to the FLU one. Just why we always do LUF. So wondering if there was a reason we don't know about.
oh,
Just
no, I
why
have no
we
idea.
always
I have no idea.
So,
like just like the standard, basically.
so are you? So the question is why did we choose LUF? I certainly can't speak to all the discussions that happen behind the scenes. I guess if I had to at least think about it in my brain when I see L, U, and F, well, it's X would be my left and right axis. U would be my up and down axis. So X, Y, Z. I don't know if that is the reason. To me, that is just the one that jumps in when I hear left, up, forward, right? It's X, Y, and Z. But
Makes sense to me.
I wasn't there at the conversation, so I can't.
This may have been a follow-up to one of the previous questions we had here. The question is actually, could you not just get the player hit by the projectile and modify the speed of that player? It seems like that's something you could do.
Yep. No, you totally could do that. Yeah, you could use a movement speed device or movement modulator. The caveat there is that if we have it built into the ability template, then it becomes something that, and in this case, it's not that big of a deal. But it becomes something that can happen more predictably. So like the movement speed change can happen as soon as you get hit. If we do it when it comes with the projectile, then you're reaching out, you're talking to like a movement device. Now you're introducing latency to this. So the reason we'd want it to be a point or whatever on the ability template is to fully reap the benefits of using the template. But yeah, absolutely. There's a lot you can do, right? The teleport that's happening with the projectile, that's just firing it on hit with the world and saying teleport the player to that location. And it's pretty responsive. So you can absolutely do that. I was thinking about like, are there weird things you could do with just the projectile using it as like imagine if you did a big sphere that moved really slowly and just use that as your trace for some reason. I don't know why you would, because you can only get like one hit event. But
So
I
just
don't
a
know.
quick back to our bot. So I set up a new behavior and I assigned it to our two bots. If we look at the code real quick, you can all validate me live, I guess. I created an icy ability that actually is going to heal as well, which may or may not be helpful for this, but it should apply a 5-second icy feat to itself. And I created up this little behavior that after 10 seconds should, so it's going to sleep on begin. It's going to then loop after 10 seconds, and then it'll do another 10 seconds. So we have an icy feat for 5 seconds, then it'll apply every 10 seconds. So it'll get the agent, get the character from that agent. So this is the interesting nuance when using an ability. It has to be on an entity in the scene, so it actually can properly get the life cycle of begin simulation. So I have to use the agent's character's entity. The agent itself won't work. It's a weird little gotcha moment, I guess. So I guess moment of truth. I assigned it. I click start.
Well, if you're gonna heal him,
Why did I choose 10 seconds again?
no, it's fine. I was thinking
Build up that
that
anticipation.
the heal's gonna be so hard to
There it
show. I
is. Look
guess
at
you
them
just
all
know what
getting it.
happened. Look at him get
Hey!
icy. It's like a
And
ice
then
plague.
now I guess it'll be 5 seconds from that. They'll get icy again. So we'll just rinse, repeat forever. And so that the code is pretty straightforward. I'm just instancing ability every time, which may or may not be great, but for purpose of a demo. And we're just going to call use. I make a context, make sure I pass the agent as the instigator, since it has to be an agent. I don't know how many people looked at what ability context is, but an instigator has to be an agent. And so I give it the agent of the NPC, and I call use on its character entity, and there we go. They get icy feet. It worked.
First try.
Is that why they disappeared from the editor? They got cold feet.
Yeah. Oh, look. This
All
whole
right, let's
feature
wrap
makes
it up.
punning. This whole feature makes funny timelines and
I try to get at
and
least one bad
use.
pun in every stream if I can. I don't always get the opportunity, but I'm never going to not seize it.
Yeah. So I don't know. What did you want to do next, Mr. Ruffini?
Well, I mean, do we have more questions?
We do have a handful more. If you had anything more that you wanted to demo, we could do that, or we could jump into Q&A, whatever you want to do.
I don't really have anything more like that I wanted to demo directly. Happy to see if questions turn into things that we can whip up. I don't know. I do see one question. Template means workable asset in UEFN. Uh, I like to think of templates as kind of Fortnite functionality behind the scenes but we wrap it with verse, so it's a black box of things, of features. Like we did it with the weapon templates, affordability templates. It's kind of just an adopted name internally that we've been applying. So I don't think it's universal yet. It seems to be weapon templates on seems to follow that trend, but it's generally what it's kind of saying. Like we've come up with a feature like abilities, but we're now going to pair it with ability templates. So you get a little Fortnite, and we get to leverage some Fortnite while we're still doing the public stuff and the UE6 stuff. And so it gives us, and that's what weapon templates use a lot of the itemization systems and item component and inventory that was all released many times before, but now it gives you something that's much more constrained, but it lets you push something faster and sooner that helps you get, and that's
I
what that
think
meant.
in my head canon, the templates are like the next step between devices and Pureverse.
Mhm.
Right? Because you get way more functionality than you would with a device, but you still don't have the total freedom that you would in Pureverse. So, and you get, I guess, advantage of sort of the native backing for some stuff that, is not quite ready on the verse side. So, getting access to the native side of abilities right now, through the ability templates and the predictive nature of it, while we still wait for everything else on the verse side to come online.
And I see a question about player movement, like left, right dodging, flying abilities. I don't know if we talked anything internally about flying specifically. Movement is a team within the company that is working on, like verse first movement mechanics. So stay tuned. It's coming like eventually. But in terms of like dodge type stuff, or at least like anything like the impulse that we talked, or like that we talked about, there's internally we really feel strongly like that'll be one of our early new type of timeline elements, is something to do with impulses or push, a character on a, like, so you can do like the dodge left and right via strafe. So we're certainly keeping that top of our mind as to things to unlock sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's I think an extension of knockback is what it'll be. We probably won't call it a knockback point. Actually, we'll call it probably something closer to like an impulse point. And it'll be able to, like, theory craft it right here live. Right? It pushes you in any direction, based on, what you supply. So you could
Scaling,
theoretically be like, well, when I press this button, because uh, we don't have the movement input actions live,
right?
so this is gonna make it tougher.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll need movement input actions live, but um, I guess, boy, that would make it real tough. Um,
Yep.
s- coming soon.
Um, I feel like there's some kind of hit event. I think we kind of discussed that one in some fashion. We'd like to do that.
Ish, right?
Yeah,
Well, I think because we did in that a projectile can fire hit events. The ability itself does not. You
right.
could, if it damages, I suppose you could listen to a damageable. But right now, the way with how targeting works, there's no way to be like, who are the targets that I actually got with my ability?
Yeah, and so that is
And
something we're discussing internally, like whether it's play a VFX on targets or target, or maybe it's a timeline element that lets you something to do it, like, and it's something we want to definitely improve, because it's the thing I feel the most is damage without any type of target, something going on with the target, is you don't even really know what happens. So for sure, 100%.
well, not even that. I think this kind of comes back to one of our top requests. I think the ability to kind of make your own event fire off of a
Yeah,
point. So, right, if I have a point and have my targets, I can probably, like, that's ultimately what you'd be getting there. Is it fires, it hits whoever it hits, and then my
well, that's
custom point says apply whatever I want to my targets.
the next question was actually a great question that we did not, when it comes to template abilities, we haven't really come up with any examples, but as part of the ability,
I'm not
there
canceling.
there is cancel ability. There is cancel, and so it actually lives on the ability effect component. So the idea is, if I look at the if you this goes more to the heart of the overall ability API, but the function use will actually create an entity, the ability effect entity, and add it to this entity, and that's what this result will be, is actually the result effect entity. And in that, you'd be able to do like get component and get the ability effect component, and then you can call cancel. So when it comes to like the ones that are on the item ability component, it again, because it's part of like this using Fortnite right now, you don't really get that. The entity is created, it is added to the character entity, but you'd have to do some fishing to kind of get at it. So it's not as obvious in that pathway. But if you're doing stuff like this, calling use like inverse, you'll always get the entity, the effect entity back. So you would be able to get the effect component and call cancel. And I feel like that's one of the trade-offs we're calling with in this template world of using the item ability component is it's a bit more owned by that item than it is by your verse code. That makes sense.
Yeah, we have a few other questions here.
Oh, can we scale the fort characters? Oh, we want to add big head mode.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't even consider that it was by piece. I assumed it was the whole character.
Oh, that's a good point too. I guess that's my
I know.
Rengos.
I like yours better though. Big head mode would be fun.
I don't know much about like what we're gonna do or allow and constraints on that. I haven't heard anything internally about that one.
Are there any plans for more status effects such as chrome effect, shadow stone effect, and alien nanite effects and their modifiers?
Yeah,
Send
so
us the list. Sorry.
send the list. I will tell you, our list is pretty massive, and so we're hoping to get through a good chunk. And some of those seem like they're on our list too. So
Yeah.
I don't want to say yes, but it's on our list, right?
Yeah,
We would
we're
love to add more.
definitely.
We'd love to add more of the Fortnite isms at your disposal. That's really what it would be.
Another question here may or may not have the answer to this one. The question is about the ability system component. Since it's similar to Unreal Engine, will there be custom ability system components? This might be in a
I think I
not
might need a
for
little bit more clarification
yeah.
because the direction we took in verse is actually quite a bit different and doesn't use the gameplay ability system at all.
Mm,
Like in the base ability framework, it is we're treating it as the ability as a class, and we're actually applying ability effect and ability effect components. And the effect in this case isn't the same as gameplay ability systems gameplay effect. So I might need some extra clarification exactly what you mean, but the gameplay ability of sorry, the ability effect component you can certainly subclass and make your own versions of, and you can then assign them to ability effect prefabs, or you can build your own ability effect entity with the your special like I'd make the Todd ability effect component, or if I wanted much more custom to the actual ability itself. So you have total control over that type of stuff through verse, and that is so that is possible, but I don't really know 100% where the question is going with the relationship to Unreal
mm,
Engine's native gameplay ability.
right. We are getting towards the end of the list of questions we have here, folks. So if you have any other questions you'd like to throw for the team, or specifically regarding the template abilities, please put them in the chat brackets, question, followed by the question, and we will gather a few of these up and throw them towards the folks here. One of the questions we have here is, does the apply damage set the instigator to the ability or the player? I don't know if it was fixed, but instigator was always false when applying damage. And then they corrected this, sorry, source, not instigator. The instigator is the player, but the source should be the ability, right?
So
Um,
I think there's a bug there. I'm not gonna lie. And when when I was setting my stuff up for this, I was actually having some trouble getting the source effect for an ability myself. So I wanna double check that. Um,
so you
but
mean
it should the
so you mean out of the actual ability itself? I guess again I just have to try and understand a bit more of.
the instigator should be the player though. For if you're using the
Well,
ability template.
like instigator will be an agent. It can only be
Yeah.
an agent.
Yeah.
So that would be an NPC or a human player. But I don't. But the context doesn't necessarily have source, right? It has participants, and I mean, it's just going through. There's participants, which could be any set of entities you want as part of it, and then the targets that were gathered. So source is generally a thing I've seen in like the gameplay ability effect contexts and that type of stuff. But it could just be the wrong word, and I'm just trying to understand, or if it's active effects is not coming back properly and you're not able to get it, or in the effect component. Sorry, it could be
Well,
maybe
sorry,
like
I guess
the
what I was
context
thinking,
isn't coming back right, or
you're right. I was thinking of the projectile. Projectile's got a get source function on it.
oh, okay, so that might
But
be a
that
bug.
might not be what they're talking about.
Another example, if
Well,
you're in chat and want to clarify, please let us know. In the meantime, and this one is almost assuredly going to be we don't have an answer for this one yet, but figures might as well throw it at you. To get out of experimental, will it require all of this coming soon TM stuff, or will this base version come out first? I'm sure a lot of it's still being decided.
No, it won't.
No?
It won't. To get out of experimental, it will need to be more bug free than it is today. But I think at least for this, our goal is that getting out of experimental really means that we're in a spot where we can continue to update it without breaking it. You know,
yeah,
and well, I said breaking it catastrophically because let's be real here. We break stuff sometimes. But I think without breaking it catastrophically, right? Which means that we're not making any more changes to the underlying API. And so everything else that like all the new stuff that we're talking about, new points and stuff, would just kind of be
added on top later,
yeah, no, there you go.
as it can be. Like it
Yeah.
will be incrementally added to the feature set, but it does not gate the full release. In fact, like I would say if this was like there were no bugs, like it was perfect, what we shipped is what we currently have shipped in experimental is the stuff we want as was what we wanted as the very first public facing set of things. So I don't remember exactly how many more releases, as long as like Ruffini said, it isn't super buggy. The things you expect to work on out of like what we have currently released, then it will be ready to go. And we'll probably have a few extra new elements to come with it, just because we haven't been sitting here not doing anything. So that's I mean, so it's like I think in general, like soon. I don't know how soon. It really comes down to do we get all the bugs fixed before we're ready to say public.
But yeah, the new
Officially public.
elements aren't a requirement
Correct. They're not a
to
requirement.
come out of experimental.
And we did get a clarification on one of the previous things with talking about the instigator and source and stuff like that. They said, yeah, the source seems like it's been bugged since the release. I was talking about the damage underscore args struct
Okay.
that is send when applying damage.
Okay, so I if this isn't if that's not working, because that's using like Fortnite's damage args and things, which we're not at all using in this system. So whether that's a bug or we're trying to get away from that, because it's hard to say. We should follow up on that. We should make a note of that and just follow up on that one, because now that I understand, it's the damage args, which right.
On paper, that should work. Right? I'd expect it to.
Yeah, I thought the damage args is what come into the system, and we're not using damage args at all, but we could probably get it to work. So we should
Right.
look into it. I just don't.
Yeah. I mean, if we're damaging the player, then
Yeah.
theoretically we can.
Yeah.
Good question.
Thanks for the clarification too. I'm glad you're still.
Glad you didn't leave.
I would have been lost in the ether. Thank you.
Wouldn't have slept tonight.
So next one's a great question. So
let me read it out so folks know.
Yes, please.
How are the abilities predicted if verse runs only on server?
Very good question. So, uh, because we can't run verse on the client, we do play a bit of a trick and handle it all in C++ right now. There are future talks of how verse will run, and I leave that for the future. So how we're doing it is that part's a bit native, and we since it only goes through that item ability component, we can kind of capture the input action. So if there's no input action, there isn't really no prediction. But if there is an input action, we can handle that in the C++ layer for now. Like it's just the way we want to do it. That we can play those VFX and those sound effects and the animation and any of the other timeline elements when that are appropriate to play predictably. We can play them predictably. So that's how we're doing it.
Makes sense.
I will also clarify like that in the ability there's this can use. We also, in the case of the predictive pathway, we will manage like it's all verse code on the server, but we will manage the client knowing that too. So you can actually be like, I give myself an item that when I press a button, I can use it. And imagine you had that. Imagine you had some sort of cooldown functionality in verse with maybe you apply components to yourself. Like we will manage that from verse to be like, oh, we can't use it on the client right now until the timer's up. So it, we do we do some handshaking to ensure like the verse code you write is expected to work with like even can use in verse. So you can set up cooldown type stuff. But you would have to roll your own UI to manage like this thing's on cooldown or something. But
And then the last question we currently have, so if any folks have any other questions, please throw them in real quick, is unsure if this is a feature already, but are there plans for an actual timeline feature where we can have it so like when a projectile spawns, a level sequence, etc. thing plays for letting us manually animate things and like when we spawn projectiles and stuff like that?
great question, and I will answer it with a yes. So you'll see we actually got this approved from the top in the verse code. Like we have like and there is a timeline feature coming. I don't have the date for it, but we're able to get like this bit of the API actually fully public, and it's like a taste of timeline element, timeline point, and so yes, it's coming. I don't have a date for it, but there is timeline now at the Unreal Engine layer because we, as it comes out, it will. But that one has a lot of moving parts, a lot of future talks and feature sets and stuff like that. So, but yes.
I'm not totally sure if it's the same time. Like,
Was
just
that
because the
not the
question
question?
mentioned. Well, no, it is ish. But I'm the only part that I'm not sure on is because you mentioned level sequence, kind of stuff. I'm not sure if, like, for instance, once that projectile spawns, I'm not sure that there'd be a way to reference it in another timeline, and then like the projectile
Oh,
itself is kind of hard coded to like the data that it has. So I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
well, I
But
think
you're not
I
gonna be
think
able
I
to.
read it as the projectile can run a level sequence-esque thing.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah. I guess that's fair.
and it would be doing its own thing. Like
It
I
could do
could
that.
see I could see a projectile on begin, start a timeline which plays this particle effect for 10 seconds, and then after 10 seconds it blows up, and it does it all as part of a timeline that is owned by the projectile. That would be the dream of that feature in that system, right?
Yeah, yeah. All right,
In
I'm
my
sold.
opinion.
I'm seeing a few other questions here. We haven't addressed them because we can't, but like questions about like, is this a UE6 thing? Is this a whatever, future stuff we can't really talk about too much, but we do want to cover the stuff that we have here at the moment. So
Yeah, I mean, we're the gameplay like team that is on the engine side building these features that ultimately go towards UE6, but we're trying to also build things that come along with it that work in UEFN today. So the you developers can make things and make experiences and fun gameplay for the millions of players, for all those players out there, right? It's like so yeah, yeah.
Well, that is pretty much all the questions that we've got for from the chat here. Is there anything else you folks wanted to tackle while we were here? Any advice, things you want to see people do with these tools, anything like that? I know it's pretty broad, but
Well, I mean, I think it's ultimately, I know it's an experimental. It's sometimes a hard sell with all the other things you guys are doing with shipped islands and all that stuff. So if you can get in, tackle a little bit just to kind of be like, I wish it had this because I'm using it. I wish this was easier. I wish I can use this. And then you get on your platforms that where you do it and be like, hey, Epic, I wish you did this, which so we can see it, keep it visible so we can because we're making this for you guys really. Like we use it too, but ultimately we want all of our devs to be using it.
and I want to
And
emphasize something that you said earlier too, which was that like, these are experimental tools and stuff like that. And I know that there are folks out there that like they're like, well, I'll wait till it's official before I bother messing with it. That's totally valid and fair, especially if it's something you plan on shipping. But as you also said earlier, being an experimental is the perfect time for you to get in there and test it and see what works, what doesn't, what you want, what you don't want, and then get that feedback to us while it's still in that like, experimental phase, because then we can act on it and add these changes and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Sorry, you looks like you were going to say something, Andrew. I completely interrupted
I was
you.
not. I was going to say that. So, great job. I didn't have to. Yeah, I just want to see cool stuff. I think the last time I did a stream, I asked for. I just wanted to see more infection maps. So I'm just going to keep asking for more infection maps. I won't say any in particular because I don't know if that's against the rules. But just want to see more infection maps, and I'll make sure that knockback is a priority if people are making infection maps, because knockback's great and infection maps. Get out there and make them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else we wanted to tackle while we were here?
I mean, happy to just answer more questions if we get any, but otherwise, no.
Perfect. Well, folks, that is going to wrap up today's Creating in Fortnite. Thank you to you folks for joining us and showing off these cool, experimental tools and things that you can do with it. And a huge thank you to everybody for watching as well. This show would not be what it is without you, your time, and your questions. And if any of you came through the stream partway through, don't worry. We post all of our streams in VOD format on both our Twitch and YouTube channels. And if you haven't already, please come join us at the Epic developer community, where we have our documentation, tutorials from both community and staff alike, forums, and much more. Again, huge shout out to you folks. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for doing this. And we'll see you guys all in the next Creating in Fortnite.
Wait, can I say one more thing?
Please.
Is it too
No,
late?
please. No,
yeah,
you're good.
check out some of the other streams. Itemization. Benny did a great job on it. Itemization has like none of this ability template stuff would have been possible without it. So just shout out to the itemization team. That's all.
Yeah. Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week.